Hello, Harry here, and I'm just going to go through some of the comics that I read this week. It's been a very busy couple of weeks, so it's not only what I read this week, but also what I read last week. So let's take a peek and see what we got. Animal Pound number three. So Tom King and company bring us another really stellar issue of Animal Pound. The story is continuing on as we find the Pound under the leadership of a series of somewhat capable, extremely capable, and not at all capable leaders, eventually coming up to a climactic and very difficult leader, where we end off with Piggy in charge. I felt like we could kind of see this coming in the previous issue, and seeing it come to fruition now, things don't seem particularly good. It is 100% on the nose exactly what I feel like they are uh, addressing as the main issue. As Animal Farm was about socialism and the governmental climate during the Russian revolutions, this is very much what is going on in fairly current U.S. politics. So overall, Animal Pound number three, was a very good read. I'm going to go ahead and give that A minus. Archie Horror presents The Cursed Library Prelude. This was a free comic book day offering. Not a ton of meat here. This is basically just a glance into each of the various Chilling Adventures stories that have come out in the past year, and I guess they're going to be putting it under a new umbrella, perhaps, of the Cursed Library. So to kind of give you that Tales from the Crypt vibe. So perhaps they're going to be doing a change of branding, but long and short, this gives us a little bit of a structure for all the stories that are being told. So it's sort of like Tales from the Crypt, where you have this main run through or through line where everything else is kind of plugged into it. So I think that could be pretty interesting if they decide to go this way. And this is indeed a new branding and not just what they happen to be doing for Free Comic Book Day. But overall, it was all right. I'll go ahead and give that a C minus. Bear Pirate Viking Queen was an interesting read. I really, really dug the art style. It harkened back to a lot of those 2000s comics with Stephen Niles and Ashley Wood and that sort of thing. Um, the actual font that they use is really small for a lot of what they're working with. It makes the comic legitimately difficult to read at times. That said, it really detracted a lot from the quality of the presentation for me. It's this very beautiful artwork with, at times, difficult to read due to the size text. So if they had just gone a slight bit larger, I feel like it would have been a little bit easier to read. But as is, and maybe it's just, eyes are getting old, I'm getting old, and it's perfectly sized for somebody else. But for me, it was a little bit undersized. The actual story and content I found to be very enthralling and interesting. I liked how it ended with the murderous Viking dude coming aboard and sort of taking over the ship. So wherever this goes in the next couple of issues, I'm on for the ride. I'm not disappointed that I'm reading this one. It's just certain things about it have disappointed me. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and give it a B minus. Next up, we got Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, number 5 and number 6. Perfect ending. I don't think that they could have done much better. The final revelation of the killer, the background of Sam, and everything else that they did in these two issues, pulled it all together, did it all in a good paced fashion, and gave me exactly what I wanted from this story. A plus. Straight up one of the best books I've read this year. Beware the Planet of the Apes, number 4. Very solid Planet of the Apes story. It brings a good conclusion to the Beware the Planet of the Apes storyline, a story arc that we've been watching, reading. Words hard today. I thought that this was a good branch between the pre movie era and the movie era of the original Planet of the Apes films. It was a good, solid apes related read. If you enjoy the original Planet of the Apes, it's worth checking out. If you did not like the original Planet of the Apes, there's nothing here for you. I will go ahead and give it a B plus. As a conclusion to the series, excellent. But as far as bringing anything to the table for people who aren't already fans, not so much. Chilling Adventures present The Cult of That Wilkin Boy. Initiation. But it was okay. I really enjoy a lot of the Chilling Adventures books, as noted by me having read the prelude for the Cursed Library. This story left me flat. A lot of the Chilling Adventure books are really good for one-shots. This is a follow-up to The Cult of That Wilkin Boy from last year, and it doesn't really add anything interesting. It doesn't add more for me. It was very so-so. D. Big D. I not a big recommend. It was not exceedingly good. There was nothing fun that really grabbed me. It was just a very mediocre read, which is surprising because it's a Cullen Bunn book, and I generally love the stuff that Cullen Bunn does, but this just did not sing to me. Conan, Battle of the Blackstone. So this was another free comic book day offering that I had picked up. This was a solid introduction to, Titan Comics doing the Howard verse, so the Robert E. Howard universe, of the multiverse of Robert E. Howard in comic book form. I am not against it, though I'm not going to be going out of my way to get into it. The prelude was satisfying. I enjoyed what I saw. However, Titan Comics and Conan, I've been mezza on. I did not love, did not hate. It just kind of was. It was enjoyable Conan stuff, but at the same time, I've had a lot of Conan stuff in my life, and it didn't really grab me by the shoulders and shake me. So it was enjoyable. It was a great offering for Free Comic Book Day, but it's not getting me to go out and run and grab the Robert E. Howard universe books from Titan. So on that note, I would go ahead and give it a C. Average, nothing great here. If you're a fan of Robert E. Howard's more obscure characters, and we're talking more obscure than Solomon Kane, though Solomon Kane's in it, then you might enjoy this. If you haven't seen a lot of that sort of thing, but this is like just having the Robert E. Howard Avengers, and honestly, I'm a little bit burnt out on let's bring all these multiverse characters together storylines. So. Count Crowley, Mediocre Midnight Monster Hunter, number 3. Now this I enjoyed. This was a good time. The art quality is still way up there. The writing quality is still way up there. This is 100% the Count Crowley that I'm here to see. We get a whole lot of stuff in this issue. We get the origin of the person that's been going around with that mask, that's been handing out the masks to the kids and being real creepy. We get the origin of that character. We have the larger storyline with the vampires that have been making Count Crowley's life miserable start to come in. The other Count Crowleys previous to our main character are embroiled in a lot of things. Vincent seems like he's going through a period of dementia, which is personally one of my greatest fears, but they did a great job of handling that. I don't know how they're going to conclude this story arc in one more issue. I don't want them to. I want Count Crowley to be a continuous, ongoing series. I don't want to have to wait till, again, next year for, let's see, she's mediocre this year, so maybe she's going to be masterful next year. I'm not certain. But I really enjoyed this one. If you've not picked up any of the Count Crowley stuff, look for the trades, pick up what we've had so far for this series, because this is a solid, like, if you like monster hunting and you like B movies and you like sort of schlock stuff but presented in a really engaging manner, this is your jam. So if you like MST3K but you want it with some angst, this might be the place for you. Dark Ride numbers 11 and 12. The series is over and it comes to a fair conclusion. It felt a eats bit rushed, but not too much. I feel like maybe one more issue would have been nice. However, I also feel like one more issue might have dragged things out too much. So it does feel a little bit sudden. However, I'm not disappointed with how it ends. I would have liked a little bit more detail here and there in the story. But given that it's going to have been 12 issues and that's all they had to work with, I'm satisfied with what I got. The overall for the whole series, I would say that the whole series is above average. I would give the whole series a B plus. These last two books that conclude it, I think, would fall right in line with that. So B plus for Dark Ride, 11, 12. Thank you very much for all that you've done for the last, what is it, 2 years, maybe 3 years that it's been coming out. Really cool idea, lots of neat visual elements. The interactions between characters have all been good. What can I say? It was a very nice dark ride, and I look forward to seeing what's going to come from this creative team in the future, if anything. But I definitely would be here for more sort of outlandish, interesting, and very inspired horror. Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft Caravan of Curses. This was a pretty cool anthology book. We get maybe, I think, 4 or so stories that are semi-connected through a hag that is trying to relieve people of their curses and sort of levying other curses onto the people that she's dealing with. It was a pretty cool read. It was a little longer than I thought it was going to be. The book is actually rather hefty for a comic, for a floppy comic. There's some really cool stories, some really cool elements. If you're familiar with the greater Ravenloft mythos, so things beyond Barovia and Strahd, this is actually an extremely interesting book because you get into a lot of the other spaces in Ravenloft. And, it's not my personal universe's version of Ravenloft, which is very much Silent Hill. So, you have the various towns and things that have different feelings about them, and they're all separated by the mists of Ravenloft and whatever. But that said, this is a fun, interesting read, a nice easing into the world of Ravenloft. I would not mind seeing more of this, especially like having read the D&D Saturday Morning Adventures, which I'm going to get to in just a moment. I like having something that's not pulling straight from the D&D bag. That's like, I'm happy that Lord Soth isn't there. I'm happy that Strahd isn't there. And it's just the essence of Ravenloft. So that said, really cool time. I'm sure that the characters that are in this appear in some D&D adventure I haven't played yet, but I would give it a good solid recommend, A minus. Again, I am a person who likes their anthology horror, and this is solid anthology horror. Horror, not horror, horror. Saturday Morning Adventures, Dungeons and Dragons. Reverse that. Dungeons and Dragons, Saturday Morning Adventures. I believe that's the direction it should go. Even though the Saturday Morning Adventures is on the top, I believe it's always been solicited as Dungeons and Dragons Saturday Morning Adventures. But anyways, neither here nor there. Numbers 3 and 4. It's the end of the story arc that we're in, with the kids searching for Billy, and then also searching for a way to cure the dungeon master and also get home. And it ends pretty cool. We get a little bit of Jaraxel, we get a little bit of Drizzt, and excuse me a moment. We get a little bit of Jaraxel, we get a little bit of Drizzt, and what have you. I don't love the cameos going on as long as they had. I don't really feel like they were needed. Again, it just has the vibe of a nostalgia trip, and it so. I would have liked to have seen a bit more emotional depth. I do like that we get more into Billy and his sister's relationship. The other characters seem very peripheral. We never get a lot of depth, and I wanted a little bit more depth here. That said, next Saturday Morning Adventures of the Dungeons and Dragons stripe, I'm all set. Uh, I read the previous series, the previous one shot for the summer adventure, and then this one. It was okay. I don't need more. Unless their plans are to get it a bit more sophisticated, I'm all set. But this was, as a nostalgia trip, pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing it as a cartoon and being able to like geek out over this sort of stuff, but um, yeah, it didn't really build much more of my enjoyment of the property. It just sort of was like, this is a thing you like. Here's more of that thing you liked, and that's it. So overall, as a series, I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. These past two issues, they're solid issues, so I would give them a C plus, I would say. But overall, not a lot of meat on these bones, but an awful lot of bones. Jill and the Killers number 4. This series did not displease me at all. It ended very strong, and it gave me exactly what I was hoping it would give me. And it's a good surprise of who the killer actually is. It got me. I was very in just how the whole killer ending showdown goes. I really enjoyed how that all was. I'm not going to get too much into it. I don't want to blow the surprise, but it really worked out really well. And I love the fact that it follows the mystery guidelines that you should have for a mystery, in that the killer is somebody that you met. It's someone that was introduced and is part of this story, and is an unexpected little twist. And I loved it. I loved it. So I don't know if it's that I didn't have high expectations for the series overall, and I wasn't sure what I was expecting, and then I got more than nothing. Or it's just a matter of it. Again, I really liked how the characters were portrayed. I liked what they did. The overall plans and machinations of the baddie were really cool. The history stuff that they did, the delving into the mystery of what was going on, that was really cool. The lore that they set up, and how they sort of resolved ish Jill's emotions about her mother's disappearance, really groovy. There is one set of panels for an action scene that really I had to like reread it a few times before it really sunk into my head what's going on, because they use some visuals that are incongruous, and I get what they're trying to say, I just feel like the articulation of it was a little bit off, and it required me with my eyes going, huh? So, that said, it was a pretty solid series. They left the door open to do some more. I don't really want there to be more. I liked the characters a lot. I'd like to explore more with the characters. However, at the same time, I like having an ending. And I don't know. Maybe that's old fashioned because I know that the new thing is having series that just will go on forever and never end. But I think that I'm okay with leaving the door open for more mysteries and things like that, but not having to see more because this was well executed. I don't want to have another series that's then poorly executed. I'd rather it just leave off on this really high note for me. I'm going to go ahead and give Jill and the Killers as a series A. Jill and the Killers number 4. I'm going to lay that down as an A minus just because of that one page of panels that was very poorly, in my mind, constructed. But again, that may just be me. Planet of the Apes, The Fall of Man. So this was a free comic book day. Well, actually, no, sorry, it wasn't even free comic book day. This was just a free issue that was out there. I had gone to one of the chain comic book stores and they had this on the shelf. So I said, oh, cool, Planet of the Apes. I read Planet of the Apes. I'll get this. And it was funny because the dude at the counter was like, oh, cool, you made some good choices. I'm like, I bought a free book and an X-Men book. So, Planet of the Apes: Fall of Man is the full title of this. It works as a preamble of the trade paperback that's going to be coming out that collects the series that came out before Beware the Planet of the Apes, which serves as part of the newer Planet of the Apes Hollywood universe. So, so that's very much in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, blah blah blah, timeline. So it was neat seeing this as a preamble skeletal structure surrounding the previous Planet of the Apes series that had come out, and I thought that was pretty cool. I was happy about it, and it was free, so I was even happier about it. Ultimate X-Men 2 and 3. So once again, here we get this really cool spiffy manga-inspired look at the X-Men, where we have these alternate retellings and alternate envisioning of various X-Men characters. So we get our version of Storm, who's really cool. I like the origin that they gave her. I don't necessarily like the racial erasure that's going on. Storm is a very iconic character, and to sort of take away some of her iconicness, to take away her African heritage, and just give her, she's from an abused household. She's from a household with a lot of abuse. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it definitely serves that manga influence style because, you're not going to see in manga a lot of positive representation of black people. So, it's a really complex thing, because you're there's so much that's going on in there, and really, then you can even start questioning: is she supposed to be Storm? Well, I mean, she has storm powers. She uses the lightning bolt. She's got the white hair. I mean, yeah. I don't even know. It's it's more than I'm qualified to deal with. And now in issue 3, I'm wondering who the heck's that lady with the magnifying glass? Is she supposed to be Psylocke? She looks like Psylocke. She might be Psylocke, but I don't know. Where is this series going? And what is the ultimate goal of it? I guess that's the question I have. What are my expectations? Why do I have expectations? This definitely isn't the X-Men that I'm used to. And it makes me curious. I want to see what's going to happen. But at the same time, there are certain things that I want to not have changed from the original. At the same time, I love that nothing's like the original, or very little's like the original, and seeing how well they capture the anime inspired and Japanese inspired influence is so cool. There's so much going on here, and I think that it's just a uniquely of our time sort of artistic question in print form. There's a lot of conversation that can be happening around this, and I just would like to have it, but I don't know. I'm not qualified. Likely my read of the month and possibly my read of the year would have to be Daniel Close's The Death Ray. This is not a new book in any way, shape, or form. This is just a reprint from 8 Ball. But it's so Daniel Close, and I love Daniel Close's very myths-anthropic way of looking at things. And this is Daniel Close coming as close as he's going to likely ever get to doing a real superhero book. And it is really cool. It brings up a lot of questions. I If you are interested, let me know and I'll do a deeper dive into it, because I think that this is one that I could do like a page by page reaction to it and just kind of pick it apart as a deeper review. But just seeing a character gain superpowers, be egged on to misuse them, and then when the person that encouraged him to misuse his power no longer has control over the person with the power, and the person with the power realizes that they are the person that has the power. It's a really cool story. It's really the dynamics of everything that goes on is really strong. And like, you don't see character development like this every day. And when it's presented through the lens of Daniel Close's work, it's so uniquely, what's the best word for it? Pessimistic. It's very pessimistic, and rightly so. My favorite, utterly favorite part of this book is the ending, because Daniel Close gives you a multiple choice ending with the with a really dark ending, a super really dark ending, and then one that is the most likely. And I thought that it was very cool the way that that was done. So overall, this is a really excellent read. I would give The Death Ray a strong A. So those are the books for this week or the past couple of weeks, and it was a good couple of weeks of reading. My pile of reading has gone down. It is now, ugh, goodness. Well, it's still very big. Still got this to go through, but it's gotten smaller. I do have some other trades and stuff that are in the other room, but it feels like I'm actually going to get caught up before my next delivery comes in, which should be maybe week after next or so. So that said, this has been it's been a good month. I've made time to do at least that part of things that I like. As far as outside of comics, um, I've been doing some painting of minis. I've been all over the place for that. I've been painting some stuff for Battle Sisters. I've been painting some stuff for Space Wolves. I've been painting some stuff for Hero Quest. I've have a lot of stuff that's going on but not finished. I have a adventure coming up that I'm working on for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds. I have a lot of work to do on that, and I got to do it all this week. So, all that said, I'm going to go ahead and let you all go. I hope you have a wonderful week. I may see you next week. Like I said, I do have a Pathfinder adventure that I'll be running next week around this time actually. I should be wrapping up. So I don't know if I'll be able to get a video out. If I do, it'll be a shorty. So that said, have a wonderful week. I'll catch you later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all those good things. If you have anything that I talked about that you want to talk more about, we can talk about them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.